So we're looking, we don't see nothing. I go back to my seat, probably like 20 minutes goes by. I get a text from AJ and he's like, hey, come up here. We're seeing these lights. And dude, I go up there and immediately I just see like this big white light and it's getting bigger and it's going back like smaller. It's getting bigger and smaller and bigger and smaller. And we're all just like, what the hell is that? Like, what the hell is that? We're talking to the pilots and like, you know, it could be a satellite. It's just the sun probably bouncing off a satellite. It's probably nothing. We don't know what it is. Where all of a sudden this light goes up, down, and it does like a circle. And we're all looking at each other like satellite. We're like, that's a satellite. And the pilot goes, yeah, that's not a satellite. I don't know what that is. And we're sitting there and we're like, what is that? Where all of a sudden another one pops out like right below it, and they're starting to go like this, and they're moving kind of like side to side. And these pilots are looking at each other like, you know, they're still being kind of skeptical. Right? Yeah. And they're like, yeah, we don't know what that is. Like, we'll be honest, we don't know what that is. They're like, we're flying at 3,500 feet or 35,000 feet, and whatever that is pretty far above us. Yeah, yeah. And so they're being real skeptical still. And it was one of the weirdest things that I've ever seen. And both the pilots are like, we've flown 15 years for the military, and he's like, we've never seen anything like this. Really? And so later that day, a little bit later, we're like, well, where are we flying at? You know, where we at? And he was like, well, we're right in New Mexico, but about 300 miles out that way is Area 51. Of course. And I was like, oh, I'm sold. I was like, right after that, I was like, I'm completely sold. Yeah. This whole conspiracy.
Were they nervous at all about it? Like, were they